With all of the great upheaval that is happening right now in the world, the storm clouds on the horizon, I thought it would be a good time to remind my audience this is our Father's world. If you're a student of the Bible, if you believe in creation and you believe in Jesus Christ, you will believe that there is a day coming where all accounts will be settled justly and fairly. Recently, I have made a statement about the current governor of Florida, and many have come to me and said, "Don't you think you're being a little judgmental? He's done so many good things. Why would you take such issue with this?" Because it shows something. It reveals something about what his desires are for the future, for Florida, and for himself. To illustrate this, I would like to share a story that I believe was brought to my mind through prayer. Many, many years ago, I was a high school football player. And as you know, practices after school sometimes go very late. One day, one of my younger cousins came up to me during the school day and said, "Hey, I'm having a birthday party tonight. Would you stop by and have some cake and ice cream?" Of course. Absolutely. I was a senior. She was a freshman. No problem, little one. I will see you after practice. So, school day ends. I go out, football practice. I'm a linebacker. I get beat up every day in practice. That's just part of it. I go in, take a quick shower, throw on what I normally wear on my way home. I throw on a pair of shorts. At this time in the 80s, you wear a half shirt. It's late fall, summertime. And I go over to my aunt's house, and I see all the cars there. I walk in. And of course, my cousin has all of her friends there, some younger, some older. "Hi, how are you doing? Happy birthday." Have the cake and ice cream. Now, of course, at this time, everybody knew each other from the church. This is way back in the 80s. And I have a few conversations. I'm like, would love to stay. Got to get home. Got homework to do. Got to get cleaned up for tomorrow. Well, by the time I got home, my mom was waiting for me. And she said, "We need to have talk." I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "Did you go by your cousin's?" I'm like, "Yes, I did. I was invited for her birthday, and I went over there, and my aunts and my uncles and everybody was there, and we had cake and ice cream, and a good time was had by all." "Well, I've had a few phone calls about your appearance." I'm like, "My appearance? I came directly after football practice." She's like, "Yeah, some of the younger girls were a little bit enamored. And some of the older ladies there thought that you were perhaps attempting to appear a certain way for a certain desire." I'm like, "Mom, this is exactly how I come home every single day after football practice. How you see me now is how I was there." And she's like, "Yeah, I know. I know." But nevertheless, they were offended. And you need to go apologize. Now, I was indignant. I was incredibly upset at this because I was invited to come after football practice dressed as I was. My mom said, "You should have put your clothes on from school." I'm like, "Well, I was still dirty from practice and everything, Mom. That wouldn't have been..." She's like, "Yeah, it's not fair. It's not right. Apologize anyway." You see, this is the idea that I'm getting at today. Perception is reality. The perception was that a young, strong, hunky football player, 17 years old, full of muscles, with a half shirt on, a pair of running shorts, and a pair of cleats, was attempting to create some type of a disturbance amongst young girls, which wasn't the case. It was not the case. Am I Tiger Shroff? No, I wasn't even then. I was a little closer to this then than I am now at 52 years old. But here is the point. Here's the point. Some people have said, Florida Maki, how can you be a Christian and show a picture like this? Sometimes, and here's the point, here's the glue. Sometimes we ascribe intent where there is none. And sometimes we ascribe wrong intent simply based on observation. And what does the Bible teach us about this? And my mom revealed this to me later. 1 Thessalonians 5. Prove all things. Hold fast that which is good. Abstain, not from all evil. Abstain from all appearance of evil. So here's a 17, 18-year-old kid walking into this birthday party with a bunch of 13, 14, and 15-year-old girls. Just off a football practice. You see, the older women had this idea that I had some intent and giving the appearance of evil. It was unfair, wildly unfair that I had to go apologize. But I did. And this is before any time that I spent in the Army in interrogation training. So this is my point. 1 Corinthians, another scripture, 5:11 through 13, KJV. I wrote unto you in an epistle not to company with fornicators. And this is just an allusion to fleeing from the appearance of evil, yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or extortioners, or with idolaters. For then must ye needs go out of the world. But now I have written unto you not to keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or covetous, or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner. With such a one, know not to eat. For what have I to do to judge them that are also without? Do not ye judge them that are within. But them that are without, God judgeth. Therefore, put away from among yourselves that wicked person. You see, this is Bible. This is Scripture, and it is wildly, wildly unfair. It truly was. I had absolutely no intent that afternoon, getting off a football practice, to go cause some kind of a stir amongst a bunch of young girls. I was invited to go have cake and ice cream, and I did. But I had to go apologize. I had to go apologize. This is why we have the Florida Maki Patreon channel. Because it is the ability to get control of your mind and understand that things like perception are the only things that we have. No one can know your heart. No one, even if they wanted to, could know your heart. Now, would you like to see a real-world example of this? Elon Musk, now threatening to pull plug on Twitter deal. See, many people ascribed an intent to Elon Musk that wasn't true. Elon Musk. Oh, he's going to go make things fairer on Twitter. That's why he's ponying up $40 or $50 billion to buy it. Absolutely incorrect intent. That's not why he did this. He did it because he thought he could make money at it. And the minute that it appears he's not going to make money, Tesla CEO may terminate his $44 billion buyout because the social media giant is withholding data on fake accounts. But wait a minute. I thought he was doing it for the betterment of all mankind so that there were fair platforms that are really utilities, and that's why governments can relate. No. Absolutely not. Because if his intent was to do this, he would never threaten to pull the plug. Never threaten to pull the plug. Now, look critically. Look critically for a moment. Are you ascribing an intent here that may not have been the case, where he goes across the DMZ and shakes hands with Kim Jong-un? Or Un, or whatever he is? But he won't meet with Maduro. Won't meet with Maduro, but met with him. State of the Union calls Guaido the leader of the Venezuelan people. Literally less than a year later, calls him the Beto O'Rourke of Venezuela. Sometimes we ascribe intent where there is none. And I'm going to leave this in a very strange place because I think it's important to throw some diversity into this. What was the intent here? What was the intent here with the president that was the big change? The president that was the new sheriff in town, appearing, touching some glowing orb with the leader of Saudi Arabia. Now, are you ready for the real change of mind here? Wait a minute. Hold on. Back up. Florida Maki, how in the world could you possibly equate Carrie Underwood and Vince Gill with what's going on in world politics or your personal story from when you were 17 years old? See, it goes to intent. Many years ago, Carrie Underwood went out on stage at a Great American Country Special, and she sang a version of How Great Thou Art that literally set the Christian gospel world on fire. It was so good. It was so amazing. Everybody heard it. Now, it was a very low-res image of her singing the song. Many people didn't realize exactly how low-cut the dress she was wearing was. But some years later, this is a video of that, Carrie Underwood, How Great Thou Art. The song version was so good that she did it on stage at the CMAs. But then people are like, wait a minute. How can she be singing a Christian gospel hymn wearing a dress like that? Wait a minute. She's singing How Great Thou Art, but look at how she's dressed. The two things are arguing with each other. You see, it's one of those ideas that we can't really wrap our minds around. That sometimes we need to just close our eyes and listen to understand the truth. This is, of course, from the official appearance video after she caught a bunch of crap from a bunch of Baptists and Pentecostals in the South singing the same song. Now, once again, it's still questionable as far as the appearance goes. Yes, it's got the big hoopy thing on it, but she's totally, from the chest up topless, singing a gospel hymn. Now, here's the part that's going to make you think. Here's the part that's going to make you think. This is from the homegoing celebration, basically the wake, of Vessel Goodman. This is Vince Gill. This is the sisters, the Isaacs. Now, you look at Sonia Isaacs, and she's a pretty girl. She's beautiful and an incredible voice. And most guys, makes your heart skip a beat a little bit. But here she is at a wake. Patent leather, basically stilettos, super high heels, leather skirt, but technically down to the wrists, down to the ankles, covered completely. And here she's actually dyed her hair and decked out with all sorts of baubles. So which biblically is worse? How she's dressed based on the occasion? Or this? Just getting some sun at the beach. You see, this is a hard one. This is one where you got to scratch your head a little bit because it goes to intent. It goes to perception. You see, when I showed up at the birthday party, I had no intent. But the perception, as the Bible teaches, would have been incorrect and would have needed admonishment and correction, even though there was no intent. So I'll leave it there. I will let folks talk about this in the comment section. I know this is a lot to kind of wrap your head around. The idea of intent versus perception is the idea. Intent versus perception. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.